Hi, I'm Beth. I'm an alcoholic. I do have experience with these steps as laid out in the big book of Alcoholics Anonymous. The help of a very patient and sometimes appropriately so not so patient sponsor. The partnership of a very loving and humorous God. Meetings like this, people like you. I am in the process of finishing up my amends. I have a few to make. And I do work the latter steps to the best of my willingness on a daily basis. I am always very grateful to be here. And I think no matter what step it would have been, I wasn't sure what it was going to be. I haven't been at this meeting for the past 2 weeks because I've been traveling. But I think no matter what step it would have been, I would have said I was grateful. But I think today, and I'm going to start with where I'm at today with a couple of examples, I so strongly believe that God is present in all that we do and all that we experience. And once we become open to listening and to hearing that, amazing things happen in periods of adversity. So I just want to take you through 2 examples before I specifically talk about the step, to just talk about how God is active in my life because it's so important. So about, 4 or 5 weeks ago, my husband, my son, and I, we purchased a new home. And this was a huge step for us. I didn't realize, we had been living in an apartment since I've been sober, kind of transitionary, and it was fine. We had what we needed. My son did have what he needed. But until we've been in this home, I didn't realize some things that children should have that he was missing. Just the ability when he says, "Mom, I'm bored," to send him out into the backyard. Go find a stick. Children need to be in the backyard finding a stick. We did not eat dinner at the table. And I've heard at this meeting from people how important it is to sit and to welcome God into your home and to welcome God to your table. And that has been fundamentally life-changing for my family in the past few weeks. Now, we closed on this home at noon on a Tuesday. And I went back to work, and at 4 o'clock, I was laid off from my job. And I thought, oh, God, where are you in this? Well, I will tell you that we had transferred my son's school for the start of the school year. We had already changed roads. We had left our lease. We had packed up our life. If I was laid off the day before, a few hours before, I can tell you that morally, and the word moral, I actually looked it up as we were doing this reading. I like that word. It means to do the right thing. I will tell you that if I had to sign those mortgage papers when I had been laid off, I would morally not have been able to say that I was employed, and my family would not have a home. So I tell you that timing tells me, because sometimes these days I feel like, why have I been chosen to have this home for my family? It's very nice. And I say to myself, you know what? God made this happen. So now I've been laid off and not working for about 4 weeks. And I will tell you, some days I think like there's not even enough time to have a job. But many, many times over the course, I love stories that we learn in Alcoholics Anonymous. One of the ones that I love is the story that tells about the man in the flood. And, the guy decides he's not going to evacuate, and he goes to the roof of his house. And a guy in a boat comes by and says, "I'm here to get you." And the guy on the roof says, God's going to come and get me, so I'm good. Right? And then, I forget the vehicles that come, but there's a boat and a car right? God's going to come is the man's response. And eventually God comes to the man, or he sees him, he dies, right? He drowns and he dies, and he sees God at the end of this. And God says, "I sent you a boat. I sent you a helicopter. I sent you these things. Did you not see?" And so in these past 4 weeks of being laid off from work, I can tell you, transitioning schools has been difficult for my son. I have been able to be there for my son in a very different way, because the job I was in, I was actually unhappy with. I will tell you, I was doing okay, but I did not have the courage to leave it. I really did not. And so I have learned a lot from that. And I truly believe that I would not have been, even having been through these steps, been as present for my son, because I would have been, he had 2 days off and I was with him and we adventured and we climbed mountains and we did things and I was there for him. And so additionally, like kind of future-looking opportunities, there's a bucket of things that are in front of me today that God has put in front of me. And I will tell you, when I was doing this work, I used to tell my sponsor, I really wish that God would write me a letter and put it in my mailbox and tell me what I should do to take me out of this pain and to make me happy. And I've learned over the course, that story is the story, right? God, there's a bucket of things. I've been there for my son. My family has what they need in a better way than we've had it before. And there's these career opportunities, right? There's things, right? I don't know what my future looks like. I don't know what all these things mean, but there's buckets of things that are sitting in front of me that God has given me. And I'm not drowning, and I'm not dying, and I'm not drinking. In fact, I'm thriving because I have God in my life. So one of these things that came my way on Wednesday of this week, I got an email. And the email says, like, hey, you know what, there's this leadership conference, and it didn't get filled up, and it's really expensive to go to, and I didn't even know it existed. Like, do you want to come for free? And I was like, what? Like, yes, I want to come to the leadership conference for free. And so I went to Staples, and I made some business cards, and I put on it that I'm like a this, and I'm a that, and here's what I'm going to do. And so I went to this leadership conference. It was at Fenway Park, which was really cool last night. And there's a whole bunch of leaders speaking. And so you know when you listen to others. So as part of this program, I've been able to learn to listen to others. And the first couple speakers are talking about health and wellness and technology and ideas, right? And so sitting in the middle of Fenway Park, and I'm appreciating this, and I'm feeling inspired. And I'm like, I know at home I have this bucket of things that God has given me, and I don't have the letter that tells me the answer to how this is going to turn out. I don't have it. But I know that we'll come together, so I'm just going to keep the faith. So 6 speakers into this leadership conference, of course, we're in Fenway Park. It was related to Spartan race, and there's a Spartan race there this weekend. Up to the stage comes the final speaker. And the final speaker is a victim of the Boston Marathon bombing, and she has one leg. And she's speaking, and she's spreading a message of hope. And in the middle of her speech, she says, "This is not the life I believed I was meant to lead." And I will tell you, when I walked into this program, I railed. I railed against my alcoholism, and I said, this is not the life I was meant to lead. And as she said those words, I felt my first few months in this program, and I am so grateful for always being able to feel my first few months in this program, because I will tell you, sitting here today, and we'll talk about God, that this is the life I was meant to lead. And I never felt it more acutely than watching this woman. And as a mother, I have to tell you her story. I just have to share a little bit of it. She sat 35 feet away from that bomb, and she had spread her legs, and her child was sitting in her lap. And she lost her legs, and her uterus was ripped open, and her son was saved. And I will tell you that what I have told you, all of these things I've just told you, my son has a better life today, because this is the life I was meant to lead. So those things just tell me that God is active. And if you don't believe, you will come to believe, because I will tell you. Okay, so stepping back to when I came into the program, I was one of those people who sat in the church upstairs, right? And I will tell you, in my drinking activity, I really never lost my faith. I really didn't. I believed in God. However, I was so ashamed of my actions as an active alcoholic that there was no possible way for me to regain and re-find a God. I had to start over. And I had to learn, and I had to listen. And I will tell you, my very first spiritual experience, it's so funny, right? We come to this program, we have to listen. And I was at a meeting, a noontime meeting, probably in the first 3 or 4 months of my sobriety, and there was this young girl. She was probably 16. And I was so appreciative to see her, because I will tell you, my younger sister, I talk about this all the time, my younger sister is now like 16 years sober or something crazy, right? She's like 33. She's never had a legal drink. She was in this program when she was 17, 18 years old. And so I looked at this girl, and I'm like, oh, I might have something to learn from your perspective. And I was just excited about it. And she started to talk about nature as her higher power. And then things got like really crunchy and touchy-feely, and I'm like, I'm not feeling this. I feel uncomfortable. I don't know what you're talking about. And I was in that phase, right? In the beginning, when we come in here, we're full of fear, and we're awkward and everything, and all this God, and I can't handle it. And so 6 or 7 months later, I find myself, because I do this racing out there in the woods, and I'm out there and I love it, I find myself in the middle of a race, a 25-mile race that I was not prepared for. And I will tell you, so we're like type A. I'm a winner, and I don't fail. And I'm on the top of a mountain in Canada, and I'm failing. There's no possible way I can finish this race. I decided to like double the distance. There's options of distances, right? Like 2 weeks before the great I'm like 8 months sober. I am great, and I can double my distance. Right away, so I find myself on the top of this mountain, and I pause. And I know that I am failing. And all of a sudden, I saw the seasons spin around me. Like I could see on this mountain, all the people are passing, they're doing their thing, and I'm failing. And all of a sudden, it's the middle of summer, it's July or something, and I see winter, and I see fall, and I see the world is turning, and the world is going, and I am not moving it. I am not making it. It is going, and I am doing nothing. And in that second, I realized, and I have found God in nature, and I continue to seek him there, because it is so easy for me to see how I am not in charge, number one. Number two, no matter what happens around me, the world will continue, and it is beautiful, and what God has made for us is beautiful and wonderful. And we just have to allow it to channel through us, right? So I know when God is not with me because the channel is like blocked, right? And that's how it was when I came into the program. I was so ashamed that the channel was blocked. And there was such a long road to getting it back. And today, I have to continually seek it. So that was my first spiritual experience. And it was like amazing, like literally amazing. Later on, as I was going through my fourth step, and then I had to rewrite my fourth step, and then I had to be told that I wasn't doing it right, and I wasn't too pleased with that, right? I came across a book that my mother had given me that I had wanted to throw away many times. I'm like, oh. This book followed me. I think I had it, like, my parents knew, just so you know, right? So my whole family knew. My sister was years and years sober, so they knew what this was. And they had told me many times things like, so one year for my birthday, my mom gave me this book, Jesus Calling. Now I'm going to talk about it, I'm going to say Jesus Calling. But for you, as you listen, there's any God, right? So if I say Jesus, just think higher power, right? It's just in my vocabulary. It's just me. But as I was writing my fourth step, and I was anxious and I was nervous and all the things that come along with that work, you continue to experience your earlier steps, right? So I decided to open this book in the month of November. So I really only today read November over and over. So this book says to me, you people, that's me, I'm the you, I'm with all of you, we're together. You have no idea what you're doing. You will probably never have it. You will never know. You don't have the answer. Just let it go. And I'm thinking like, the world is going to spin and it's going to work and it's going to keep going and it's going to be good. Oh, I learned that. Now I have been given the gift to not have to know the answer. Well, I will tell you, my fourth step in that moment changed from all this like, I got this down, I got medals, I'm running races, I'm great, to I don't know. And I will tell you, there are things that I wrote in my fourth step, and I know I'm jumping around, but this is the God thing. I still don't know. I don't know a couple months from now if I'm going to be able to pay my mortgage. But tonight, I have a meal in the refrigerator to put on the table for my family who will sit down and eat it with plates and talk about their day. And if that's not God, then I don't know what God is. I still don't have the answer, and that is okay. That's a gift. That's a gift, right? That's the gift I have today that I can carry. And I know the days, I will tell you it, this all sounds good, right? I don't know, it's feeling good coming out of me. I didn't plan to say it this way. It's feeling good. It's feeling good to me. There are days when it's not good, right? You wake up and it feels like not good. And You don't have, you, proverbially again, I some days don't have the power to change the not good. And I will tell you again, I go back to my mother. That woman is a gift to me. Again, years ago, she gave me these gifts and she told me, she said, all things in life are passing. I think it's a Mother Teresa thing, I'm not sure. All things in life are passing. I did not understand that, right? I drank over that. I was miserable. It was awful. Today, I understand that I don't have the power to remove the not good some days. I don't have the answer to when the not good's going to go away. But I have been given the gift to understand that, to accept that, right? Acceptance that I am an alcoholic applies to pretty much all things in life. I was like 2 years sober when I learned the meaning of life on life's terms, right? It's like your dishwasher breaks, you got to pay for your dishwasher. What? Right? So when it's not good, and that really, like Thursday, I'm pretty sure Thursday this week was not good, right? It was an amazing week, but Thursday was not good, whatever day it was. I can go to prayer and to gratitude, and if it is as simple as God, right? I did somewhere in my friend Liz is here, and she reminded me of something I said a little bit ago. When I was, again, first sober, for some reason, I was like listening to someone like, oh my God, right? And in that day and in that time, I heard, and for some reason I now believe that why that phrase exists, it's because it's my God. Because when I need to pray, I invite him in. It's not, oh my God, it's my God, right? If that's all I have, or if all I can find is that phrase my mother gave me, like all things in life are passing, my God, I want to ask you for 50 things, but please be with me, and all things in life are passing. You will find it. If you can't find God today, be patient. Someone will give it to you. Someone will walk by your side and hand you the answer, or it's there and you don't see it, and something will happen. And it will probably happen when you are failing, and it is not good, and things are going wrong, and you don't know what's going to happen next, and God will come. And then he will stay. And I will tell you another gift that I was given probably 4 or 5 weeks ago in this program. I listened, and this is why I appreciate God so much continually. Every day we have to learn and hear from others. I will tell you I never lost my faith, but I can understand looking back through my drinking that God was always there, right? It was bad. It was not good, right? I don't need to sit here and tell you how bad it was or all the things I did or how bad it was. But today, in my faith, I understand that God was there. And I can tell you, I heard in this meeting from someone speaking that once we find him and once we work our program, we keep him by our side. Because the only thing that happens at the end of all of this is that God will be with us or God will not be with us. And I cannot imagine, right? I sat upstairs and listened to the fires of hell. Fires of hell. God has been with me through all of that, and it has been not good. And once I accept him into my life, I understand he is by my side. I cannot possibly fathom what it would be like for God to not be there. And so I remember that because I heard it here. Today, I seek the channel of God, and I try to do what I can to help others, to help the next alcoholic. I'm not good at it, just so you know. I get in trouble with my sponsor all the time. I try, could always try better. But I do know that somewhere at the end of this, there is the possibility of the absence of God, and so I keep him by my side all the time. And so, like I said, if you don't have him now, it's okay. If you are too ashamed to be with him now, it is okay. And if it's a she or whatever, a leaf, because it will come. So you keep coming and you pursue this work. You pursue it like it is your medal. You pursue it like it is the job that you don't have. You pursue it like it is the thing that you want, and it will come. Thank you.